Happy anniversary to me. So, today makes 1 year that I've been posting on YouTube consistently. It's been a journey, but it is what it is. And today I want to tell my story how I actually became a content creator and what made me start posting, especially consistently. So, yesterday was August the 19th. A year from yesterday, I was in a court case. A year from yesterday was the day that I had to testify. Now, this is a story of what is called undue influence. My quick definition of undue influence is when a person that has more power over you influences you to make a decision that cannot be undone. So, on with the story. Let's get it. So back in 2023, it was in the month of November, my father called me. At the time, I was here at work. I was shampooing my client's hair, and it was very strange for my father to call me that time of morning, because normally he sleeps late because he was retired and he stays up late, and so he sleeps late. So 11 o'clock was very odd for him to call me. And I answered the phone. And when I answered the phone, he sounded very faint, which was very unusual for my father because he was always loud. His voice was very faint. And he said to me that he had gas and he needed me to bring him some medicine. So I put my client under the dryer. I called a friend of mine to wash the shop while I went to go and see about him. When I got there, he was sweating. He looked really flushed. So before I got there, I stopped to get the medicine. I gave it to him in some warm water when I got there. And I asked him what was his level of pain from a 1 to 10, and he said about an 8. So I told him, I was like, well, we might want to call, the ambulance just to make sure. He refused to call the ambulance. So I told him, after I gave him the medicine, that I would give him about 20 minutes and I would come back to check on him to make sure the pain had subsided, just in case it was actually gas. So I came back to work. I closed down my shop, let my customer know I gotta go, gotta check on my dad. So I got back to my father's house and I asked him again, what was his level of pain? He said it was still at an 8. So immediately, after, going back and forth with him, I decided I'm going to call the ambulance, 911. And I did. Now, he was really upset with me for that. But, that was my dad. I had to do what I had to do. Called the ambulance came, they checked him out. He had to go to the hospital. Got to the hospital, the doctor let him know you were having a heart attack. They flew him to a couple towns over because it was just that serious, and the hospital that we have here was not able to deal with such a severe situation. Got there, they took him straight to surgery, and that's where the story unfolds. So let's go backwards for a minute. So my dad lived in a huge house. His house probably was a little over 4,000 square feet. Now, very nice, a beautiful home. Well, when he first purchased the home was not in his name. The home was in his mother-in-law's name, which was my stepmother's mother. They lived in the house. They upgraded the house. They did a lot of work to the house. House was beautiful. My stepmother passed away in that house. Once she passed away, my stepmother's mother wanted my father to pay rent in his house. That was a battle they went through back and forth, and they ended up in court. Well, during the time that they were going to court, this was taking several years. My stepmother's mother, she also passed away. Now, which what she did was wield everything that she had to her children. My father ended up in another battle with her children. The court battle probably took almost 10 years, but in 2022, he finally won his house. The judge awarded him his home. The home ended up being transferred to him in his name. House was paid for. He paid for it himself. He had proof that he paid for it. Okay. Fast forward back to the phone call, the ambulance, the hospital situation, the surgery. So my dad stayed in the hospital for about 2 weeks. He came home. When he came home, my stepsister that brought him home realized that the locks on the door were changed. And this was because I had another sister who had been coming in and out of town with her sister frequently ever since my father won his case and received the home in his name. They came frequently. I mean, like frequently, every week, which was odd because, you know, y'all got your own lives where y'all live. How do y'all find the time? And it started looking like, what are y'all here for? Which he was, you know, concerned. But, you know, my dad, he just, you know, he was the type of person, very easygoing. Well, once he got into the hospital, and like I said, we brought him home, the locks on the door were changed because my sister's sister, she was there. And she decided that she was going to move in with him and take care of him. Now, according to her, she had a husband and she had a whole life, and she was going to stop her life for my father, who was not her father, her sister's father. She was going to stop her life to take care of him. So at first, you know, we thought, that was nice of her, but you could feel the vibe, and the vibe was very strong. So I sat down and I talked to my father and I asked him what was going on. And he said to me, he knows what she's trying to do, but he just gonna let her tie herself out because it won't happen. Which all of us knew what was going on. It was obvious. It was so obvious that you were trying at this man's weakest point of his life to steal everything that he had. Well, once the locks were changed, she would not let any of the family members in the home. And I had asked my dad, did he tell her to change the locks? And he said no. So I was like, well, we need to change them back. He was like, just hold on a minute. We gonna figure it out. Because he did not want any confusion, which we all understood, because he had just had a really bad heart attack. So we figured, let's just go with the flow. And once he gets well, you know, we'll deal with it then. But who knew that she would get to the point where she didn't want to let anybody in the house to check on him? So moving forward, we were calling, texting. We had a group chat. You know, I had one stepsister. She pretty much would do the communicating because she was, you know, kind of the peacemaker. And I was just too hyped to deal with the situation. And I did not want it to go to the left because I know how passionate I can get. And the last thing you want is for your parent to become sicker or leave this world because of you. So I stayed quiet and I just waited on the information. During the course of this time, the information was he's getting better, he's getting better, he's getting better. Everything's fine. He's doing well, this, that, and that. Well, February, I don't want to get it wrong, but I believe it was the 19th or the 20th of 2024, I received a call from my stepsister, which was the sister of the girl that was taking care of him. I had received a call saying that my father had passed. This was shocking. It was extremely shocking because all the while y'all told us that he was getting better. What happened? What happened? On down the line, this woman cremated my father, told us nothing, gave us no ashes, nothing. Well, come to find out, she had him to sign a power of attorney in the hospital because during the course of this time between November to February, my father had been in the hospital probably 3 or 4 times. While he was in the hospital in another town, she had the notary to come and she had him to sign a power of attorney giving her full control of his entire life, bank accounts, everything. We knew nothing of this until he passed away. She also had him to sign, right before he passed, she had him to sign a medical will or medical power of attorney, giving her full control to what to do with his body. Yeah. She also had him to sign a will, giving her everything he owned. She also had him to sign the deed to his house, giving her and him ownership of the deed with a joint tenancy. A joint tenancy means that when one party passes away, the other party has full ownership of the home. Now here is the thing. The day that she had him to sign this deed was the same day, unbeknownst to us, hospice had taken over. We had no idea my father was in hospice until after he passed away. We had no idea my father was dying until after he passed away. We had no idea. So she did all of this during the course of this time, 3 months. So once I started getting word of this, doing my own investigation, hiring people to do certain things, was when I found out there was all of this paperwork that was actually filed. I went to the courthouse, picked up some of the paperwork that was filed, and then the will was filed. Once the will was filed, I contested it. Now, I have 2 other sisters. One of my sisters is totally disabled. The other one is partially disabled. Yeah. So it was left up to me. I'm the youngest. It was left up to me to do the work. So I did. I hired an attorney, got everything together, got the paperwork together. Attorney took my case. Fast forward. My father passed in February. We went to court in August. August the 19th was the court date. Well, there were significant blows. See, here's the thing. They really didn't know my father. They only stood to get whatever it was that they could gain. So during the course of the case, that day, mind you, I had did a thorough investigation. I really went to bat. So there were a few things, because let's remember, I did win my case. But there were a few things that prompt me to win my case. Number 1, the first thing was that when my father, the first time when he called me, he was in hospital. I was handling all of his paperwork right at that time, because there was a point of time that my father was unable to sign anything because he was not in his right mind. So I had to come and sign his paperwork. I could get copies of that paperwork stating that he was not in his right mind at the time. Yeah. So that was the first thing that they did not know. Now, the second thing, unbeknownst to them, that I found out that my so-called stepsister was not actually my stepsister. She was named after another man, as well as having that other man on her birth certificate, knowingly that that was her father. And all of these years, we never knew. So yeah, 100% y'all came to play him. It was a whole hoax from day one. For the 2 years, 1.5 years that they had been coming, romancing him, seeing him, taking care of him, massaging his feet, feeding him, treating him like a baby, it was all a game. Well, like I said, come to find out, she was never my sister. Who knew? So, another thing that came out was my father was not able to either read or write. My father might have had a 7th grade education. He did not graduate from school. He was not able to thoroughly read and write with comprehension. Yeah. And it's so funny because during the course of my life, it never clicked in me that my father could not read. It was always, read this or, no, read this for me. We never contested him. We just did it. We just did what he said. Sometimes he would say, I can't see that. Read this for me. It never registered to any of us that my father could not read or write. Well, that came out in court. The most important thing that came out in court was, I don't know if they just didn't remember, they forgot, I don't know. But years ago, probably about 25 years ago, my father had experienced a fall. He was a tractor trailer driver, truck driver. Getting out of his truck one day, he fell. He hit his head. It caused bleeding on his brain. Because of that accident, my father, he was in hospital for a good little while. He could not remember a whole lot of things, and he had a lot of problems with his brain up until he passed away. Well, with that being said, my dad received disability, Social Security insurance every month because of his disability with his brain. Also, that was the reason why he actually retired. He could not work anymore. So he was not really able to really comprehend a lot of things. You know, he couldn't understand a lot of things. My father even lost his sense of smell. He could not smell and he couldn't taste. So he had a lot of problems. So when all these things came out in court, that was major blows that turned the case. Because don't get me wrong, as a grown-up, you are able to will your property or anything that you have to anybody that you want to. That's your right. But if you're not in your right mind, that's a problem. And because he was so sick and he was declining, it was obvious he was not in his right mind. So she took total advantage of it. Total advantage of the situation. Now, that day in court, she had multiple witnesses. Her lawyer called every last one of them. My lawyer had one witness, and that witness was me. I told my story. I told my truth. I told it all. From all the bombshells to all the experiences to what happened, everything I spoke for the judge to understand. I spoke freely, I spoke from my heart, and I just told the truth. Months later, maybe a month, I found out that I had won my case. And from that day to this one, I promised myself that I would not stop talking. And that's what prompted me to start my YouTube channel. I had already had my YouTube channel. I had uploaded a few things here and there, but I just didn't take it serious. But from August the 20th, when I got up that morning, I made up in my mind, today is the day. that I will tell my story, that I will help other people, that I will encourage my people, and I will do the work. Today is the day, and today is August 20th, which makes 1 year that I have consistently been on YouTube. Well, as far as the case is concerned, unfortunately, there's a whole nother will that was created 6 months after my father won his house, orchestrated by the two of the same women. But in this will, the stepsister got everything. The other one would only get anything if the stepsister passed away. But the other one, she wanted the whole pot of gold, which was her plan from day one, to boot her sister out and take it all. And that's exactly what she did. But unfortunately, it did not work. So now me and my sisters are waiting for the other will to be filed so that we can go back to court. But one thing I know for sure, because I've left it alone, I have not rushed it. What happens, happens. Once she files her will, we'll deal with it from there. But I do know when God is going to deal with you, everybody better be out the way, because you don't want none. And God going to deal with that sister. Matter of fact, he going to deal with both of them. Probably already is. You got to be real careful of your deeds and what you do. Because this is the thing. From day one, the Lord saw your heart. He saw her heart, and he knew what she was up to. You ain't fooled nobody, and you definitely did not fool God. So moving forward, I will continue to upload my content. I really don't care if nobody watches. I don't care if I just get one viewer. That one viewer can be helped by what I upload. That one viewer can be delivered with my content. I will continue to upload my videos. Yeah, eventually my channel will grow, and I'm good with that. I'm satisfied with the work that I'm doing. But moving forward, I have promised myself that I will be more transparent. I will be more transparent. I always speak from the heart. But sometimes I omit details just to, conceal the identities of other people. But you know what? This is my story. This is my song. And I'm going to tell it. I have so many things in my heart that have happened to me during the course of my life that I know that I can help somebody else. And that is the purpose of my channel, for healing. Healing for women, healing for men, healing for all people, black, white, I don't care what your nationality is. Yeah, the purpose of my channel is to touch people and heal their hearts. So with that being said, happy anniversary to me. Today makes 1 year for me. And if you are watching this video and you have watched it to the end, I thank you for supporting me from the bottom of my heart. Like, comment, subscribe, and please leave me a comment and let me know that you were here, because it is greatly appreciated. I love y'all. I love the community that I have built. I absolutely love doing what I'm doing. So I ain't going nowhere, and you will see and continue to see a whole lot of me. Okay? Y'all have a blessed day. Oh yeah, and one thing I forgot to mention, as far as the other will that also has to be contested once it's filed. Well, there are a lot of things, a lot of bombshells that have to be dropped about that one as well. So, and it's just a hot mess. But God is in control. Yes, he is. Always remember that. No matter what you're going through, God is always in control. Bye.